Hey there, and welcome. Tonight we're diving deep into the harsh, unyielding world of ancient Sparta, a place where strength was everything and survival was earned one breath at a time. Picture a city where every day tested your will, where even the simplest tasks came with expectations as heavy as iron. A place where children were forged into warriors and every sunrise brought new challenges. We'll explore what life was like for the average Spartan, how they trained, how they fought, and what it truly meant to live in a city that valued discipline above all else. From the rigorous Agoge training to the quiet moments by the hearth, we'll walk through the streets of ancient Sparta step by determined step. So, settle in, let the weight of history wrap around you, and prepare to experience a night in a city that never slept on its strength. Because here in Sparta, weakness had no place, and every heartbeat was a test of survival. Picture yourself waking to the first cold breath of dawn, the air still clinging to the chill of the night. The city of Sparta rises before you, a harsh place built on discipline, forged by iron and steeped in the relentless demands of survival. Stone walls bear the scars of countless winters, their rough surfaces worn smooth by hands that know no softness. Here, comfort is a luxury few understand. The sun is barely above the horizon when the first sounds of the Agoge begin, a drill master's barked command echoing through the courtyard. Boys, no older than 7, stand in a ragged line, their heads shaved, their tunics threadbare. Their eyes hold a grim determination that belies their years, because weakness here is a threat not just to the self, but to the state. The ground beneath your feet is dry and hard, littered with pebbles and patches of brittle grass. A smell of sweat and dust lingers in the air, carried on the morning breeze. You watch as one boy shivers, his tunic too thin for the cool dawn. A trainer's switch snaps across his shoulders, a reminder that comfort has no place here. Pain is an instructor, and mercy is an indulgence the Spartans can't afford. Food is not a feast in this place. A simple bowl of black broth waits on a low wooden table, the thin liquid dark and uninviting. A mixture of pig's blood, vinegar and barley, it clings to the air with a sour iron tang. A crust of barley bread sits beside it, its edges hard and stale from days in the open. Meals here are more about survival than pleasure, a reminder that in Sparta even sustenance is a test of endurance. Boys from the Agoge shuffle forward to claim their portion, each movement measured and silent. They eat with the quiet discipline of those who know every meal is earned, every bite a testament to their strength. The stew is hot, but it burns less than the trainer's whip. Hunger is a constant companion, a teacher in its own right, instructing the young in the art of perseverance. In the background, older boys spar with wooden staves in a dusty courtyard, their blows echoing like drum beats against the stone. No armour softens the impact. Each strike leaves a mark, a memory carved into skin and bone. A master watches, his eyes cold and unyielding. He does not intervene when a boy stumbles or cries out. Pain is an expected lesson. Weakness is not excused. Beyond the training grounds, the city is a network of narrow lanes and squat stone houses. No grand palaces here, no opulent mosaics or painted walls. Spartan life is stripped to its essentials: wooden stools, clay lamps and simple hearths. Even the walls are bare, their grey stones marked by the passage of hands that built them. In the agora, traders offer baskets of barley and oil, simple wares laid on rough wooden planks. There are no golden coins or fine silks here. Sparta's wealth is measured in iron, sweat and sacrifice. Women move among the stalls with a quiet authority, their eyes sharp beneath the brims of their woolen hymations. Unlike the delicate ladies of Athens, these women are accustomed to strength, trained to defend their homes if need be, to birth and raise warriors for the city. Nearby, a group of hoplites prepares for the day's exercises. Their bronze shields lean against a low wall, each one polished but dented from countless drills. The sun glints off the edges of their short spears, and their helmets, adorned with horsehair crests, rest beside them like silent guardians. Every man's life is a promise to the city, and every promise is paid in sweat and blood. Even the elders bear the marks of their service, scars hidden beneath the folds of their cloaks, memories of battles fought on far-flung plains. You step into a shadowed alleyway, the sound of wooden sandals on stone echoing between the walls. The smell of burning olive oil and old sweat fills the air, a constant reminder that in Sparta nothing is wasted. Even the smoke feels disciplined, winding its way upward in thin, obedient lines. A woman's voice rises from a nearby courtyard, sharp and instructive. She drills her daughters in the art of running, their bare feet slapping the dirt. Spartan women are no strangers to hardship. Their lives are a testament to the city's creed. Strength is not just for the men. Every mother is a warrior in her own right, expected to bear strong sons and raise them without fear. A group of young girls passes by, their hair bound in simple braids, their eyes alight with a quiet determination. They are already learning the lessons that will shape them into the future mothers of warriors, their steps measured and sure. In Sparta, every breath is a reminder that survival is not guaranteed. Every step is a test, every meal a lesson. The city itself feels alive, its stones humming with the echoes of the past, the voices of those who trained, fought and died to defend it. If you think you could slip quietly into this world and thrive, think again. The air itself seems to resist softness, the dust clinging to your skin like a challenge. Even the silence here is a weapon, ready to cut away any pretense of comfort. And so the day begins, as it always has and always will. The sun climbs higher, and the city of Sparta breathes its cold, disciplined breath. In this place, survival is earned, not given. And for those who think they could last even a single day, Sparta waits, its heart as unyielding as the stones beneath your feet. The sun now bathes the city in a relentless light, revealing every crack in the stone, every scar on the faces of the men and women who call this place home. The morning drills intensify in the training yard. Boys run in tight lines, their bare feet kicking up dust as they move in perfect synchrony. Their breathing is controlled, their faces set in grim focus. A trainer shouts instructions in a voice honed by years of command, each word sharp enough to cut. "Faster," he growls, "again," and the boys obey, their legs burning, lungs roar from the dry air. The rhythm of their steps becomes a chant, a testament to the city's iron will. In the shadow of the stone walls, older warriors stand at ease, their arms crossed over their chests, eyes scanning every movement. They are veterans of many campaigns, each one a living monument to Sparta's unyielding code. Their tunics are simple, their sandals worn, yet their presence radiates authority. They remember their own days in the Agoge, the endless running, the hunger that gnawed at their bellies, the cold that bit into their bones at night. They remember the bruises, the welts, the scars that taught them where they ended and where Sparta began. They remember the lessons that shaped them into shields of the city. At a small communal hearth, women gather to tend the morning meal, a simple affair of barley porridge, thickened with whatever herbs the land offers. A few olives sit in a wooden bowl, their dark skins wrinkled and bitter. Water is ladled from a clay jar, its surface catching the sunlight that filters through the thatched roof. One woman hums a low, tuneless melody as she stirs the pot, her hands steady despite the heat. She pauses now and then to glance at the children nearby, their faces streaked with sweat and dirt as they chase each other with the reckless energy of youth. Even in this city of iron, laughter finds a way to survive, though it is always measured, always watched. A group of young men, barely past their teenage years, prepare for the day's training. Their heads are shaved, their tunics are threadbare, and their muscles lean from countless hours of drill. Each carries a wooden sword, its edges worn from repeated strikes against training dummies wrapped in straw. They form a circle around a single figure, one boy singled out for a lesson. His stance is tense, his grip firm but uncertain. The instructor moves in a slow arc, eyes never leaving the boy's face. Suddenly, he lunges, the wooden sword flashing through the air. The boy blocks, but the impact rattles his bones. He stumbles, and the circle of young warriors closes in, their eyes sharp, their faces unreadable. The instructor's voice is low, almost gentle. Again. And so the boy rises, the weight of Sparta's expectations pressing on his shoulders. Again and again the wooden swords meet, the crack of wood on wood echoing off the stone walls. Sweat drips from the boy's hair, his breath ragged and uneven, but still he fights. Beyond the training ground, the agora bustles with quiet industry. Traders from neighbouring villages offer baskets of onions and garlic, small casks of oil, simple tunics dyed with natural colours. There are no luxuries here, only the essentials, goods that keep the city's heart beating. A man stands behind a low wooden stall, his beard trimmed short, his eyes wary. He sells iron nails, horseshoe-shaped brooches, small bronze pins. His hands bear the scars of his trade, fingers blackened from the forge. Every piece he sells carries the mark of hard labour, a reminder that even the simplest object in Sparta is forged from effort. Near the edge of the market, a blacksmith works a small portable forge. Sparks fly as his hammer shapes red-hot metal into something useful. A knife, a buckle, a small iron hook. The glow of the coals casts his face in a harsh light, revealing the deep lines carved by years of work. His arms are thick with muscle, his back bent from a lifetime at the anvil. He is a craftsman, but in Sparta every craft is a service to the city's strength. A group of women passes by, their heads covered with woolen shawls, their steps quick and purposeful. They carry baskets filled with barley and dried figs, their eyes scanning the market for familiar faces. One stops at a stall selling small clay oil lamps, each one moulded by hand and marked with the potter's thumbprint. The woman lifts a lamp, weighing it in her palm before setting it down with a nod. She knows the value of light in a place where the nights can be as cold as the steel that binds them. At the edge of the city, the land stretches out into a harsh, unforgiving landscape. Scrub grass grows in uneven patches. Rocks jut from the ground like the bones of the earth. Beyond the fields, the Tagetas mountains rise, their peaks sharp and silent against the sky. They are a constant reminder of the challenges that shape this land, a natural barrier and a test of endurance. A group of boys from the Agoge runs along a narrow dirt path, their bodies lean and hard. They carry no food, no water, only the clothes on their backs. This is their test. A day in the wilderness, where every step is a lesson in survival. They must find food, build shelter, and defend themselves against the cold and the dark. In Sparta, even the youngest are taught that the world is not a place of comfort, but of constant challenge. The lessons learned in the city are only the beginning. Beyond the walls, the land itself becomes a teacher, impartial, unrelenting, and ultimately fair. If you think you could walk these paths, could feel the bite of the cold wind and the burn of the midday sun without faltering, Sparta would welcome you. But one glance at the determined faces of its children, one moment in the searing light of its training grounds, and you might understand why so few have ever truly mastered its demands. This is not a place for the faint-hearted. Every breath drawn in Sparta carries the weight of generations, the memory of warriors who shaped this city into an unyielding fortress of discipline. Here, you earn your place, and if you fail, there is no comfort in soft words or second chances, only the cold certainty that Sparta takes only the strong. As the sun climbs higher, the city's rhythm settles into its own harsh cadence, a steady drumbeat of training, labour and discipline. In the heart of the city, the elders gather at a stone bench near the Agoge, their eyes following the drills with a mix of pride and scrutiny. They are the guardians of Sparta's traditions, their memories etched into every line on their weathered faces. Their hands rest on gnarled walking sticks, each one carved from olive wood or cypress, worn smooth by time. They murmur quietly among themselves, recalling battles fought, sons lost, and the lessons learned in blood and sweat. Their voices are low, the cadence slow, as though even words must be measured in a place where silence holds as much weight as speech. Nearby, a small group of mothers watches the training yard. Their eyes are sharp, scanning every boy's stance, every movement. In Sparta, a mother's pride is forged in the fires of sacrifice. She does not weep when her son is taken to the Agoge. She does not flinch when he returns home with bruises or a bloodied lip. Strength is the only legacy worth leaving. A woman with a lined face and eyes like storm clouds turns to her neighbour. "He's strong," she says, nodding toward a boy who moves with a fluid grace. Her voice holds no softness, only a quiet approval. "He'll make a good warrior." The neighbour, her own hands calloused from work, nods once. "He'd better." The words hang in the air like a challenge, a reminder that every boy is the city's shield. Every mother is the keeper of Sparta's future. In the dusty courtyard, the boys of the Agoge spar with short swords, their faces slick with sweat. Each movement is watched by the trainers, men with eyes like cold steel and voices like the clash of iron. They correct every misstep, every hesitation. A dropped guard earns a sharp rap on the knuckles. A stumble brings a curt rebuke. There is no room for mercy here. A boy falters, his sword arm trembling. The trainer's voice slices through the morning air. "Again!" he commands, his voice flat. The boy grits his teeth, lifts the wooden sword, and strikes once more. The impact echoes off the stone, a reminder that failure is not an option. Beyond the courtyard, the city's narrow alleys wind like a labyrinth, each corner holding the scent of wood smoke, sweat, and the faint tang of olive oil. Doors stand open, revealing small hearths where meals are prepared. Barley cakes and thin stews, a scattering of figs or olives if fortune allows. A girl sits by one such hearth, her fingers deftly twisting a length of wool into a rough cord. Her hands move with practiced ease, her gaze distant. She's no delicate maiden of painted halls and perfumed chambers. She's the daughter of warriors, her fingers as skilled in spinning as they might one day be in binding a wound. In Sparta, every task has its purpose, every duty its place. A city cannot stand on the strength of its warriors alone. Behind every shield is a woman who spun the thread, baked the bread, taught the lessons that shaped the man. A group of older boys passes through the street, their steps measured and even. Their faces hold a quiet intensity, a certainty that the path ahead is theirs to claim. They carry themselves with a pride that is not boastful but earned. Each one has faced the wilderness, each one has endured the tests of the Agoge. Their eyes are flinty, their hands strong, their backs straight. They are the iron foundation of Sparta's might, the living embodiment of its creed. To falter now would be unthinkable, for in Sparta the city's honour rests on every individual's strength. At the edge of the city the training ground stretches out, a wide open space ringed by low wooden fences. Here the hoplites drill in tight formation, their shields locked, their spears thrusting in unison. The clatter of bronze against bronze is like the rhythm of a war drum, steady and relentless. Dust rises in lazy curls around their feet, the sun catching in the small nicks and dents that mark every shield. These men know the weight of their armour, the sting of sweat in their eyes. Each drill is a memory of battles past and a promise of battles yet to come. A commander strides between the lines, his voice a measured growl. "Hold the line," he says, his eyes scanning the formation for any sign of weakness. If one man falters, the wall breaks, and if the wall breaks, Sparta falls. The men answer with a single sharp nod. There is no need for words here. Every one of them knows the cost of failure. Near the training ground, a small altar sits at the base of a rough-hewn stone. A simple offering, an earthen jar of oil, a handful of barley, a sprig of laurel rests at its base. The scent of smoke rises in a thin wisp, a reminder that even in this world of iron and discipline the gods are always watching. A young soldier pauses to kneel before the altar, his head bowed, his hands resting on his thighs. He murmurs a prayer, the words lost to the wind, before rising to rejoin the line. Faith is not a luxury here. It is a bond that ties the living to the memory of the fallen, a silent promise that each man fights not just for himself, but for the city that gave him life. As the sun begins its slow descent, the city's shadows stretch long and thin. The voices of children fade, replaced by the low murmur of evening meals being prepared. Smoke rises from the hearths, carrying with it the scents of barley, garlic, and roasted meat. The people of Sparta gather in small groups, sharing the day's meagre offerings with a quiet dignity. Laughter is rare, but when it comes, it is a hard-won prize, a testament to a life that refuses to yield. If you think you could step into this world, if you think you could stand among these men and women and call yourself Spartan, know this: every breath you take here is earned, every step is watched, and every weakness is an opportunity for the city to test your worth. Here, survival is not a gift. It is a victory, won each day in the sweat of training grounds, the dust of battlefields, and the quiet moments by the hearth where the city's heart still beats. Evening settles over Sparta with a slow, measured calm, the sky streaked with the last red embers of the sun. The training grounds empty, the clang of swords replaced by the hush of voices carried on the wind. Smoke from countless hearths rises in thin lines, merging with the cool night air. In the quiet streets, the city's harshness softens, though only by a degree. Warriors return to their homes, their bodies marked by the day's labours, sweat crusted on their skin like a badge of honor. They move with a steady grace, every step a reminder of the discipline etched into their bones since childhood. At one small courtyard, a family gathers around a low table, the glow of a single clay lamp casting long shadows on the rough walls. A pot of barley porridge bubbles gently over the hearth, its aroma mixing with the scent of olive oil and a hint of dried herbs. Simple fare, yet in Sparta every meal is a reminder of purpose over pleasure. The father, his shoulders broad and his face lined with the weight of years, breaks the bread with careful hands. His eyes meet those of his son, a boy on the cusp of manhood, his gaze steady but questioning. The boy's hands are calloused from drills, his back marked by the wooden rod of the trainer. He has learned that pain is not an enemy, but a teacher. The father offers a nod, a silent approval that means more than words. The boy takes his portion with a quiet dignity. Every meal in Sparta is earned. Even the simplest dish carries the weight of survival, the memory of generations that fought to keep the city's name alive. In another part of the city, older boys gather at a small training ground. Even in the fading light, they spar with wooden swords, their movements precise and deliberate. Each blow is measured, each block a study in economy. They train not for sport, but for life itself, their breath misting in the cool night air. A trainer watches from the shadows, his arms folded across his chest. His eyes miss nothing, the flicker of hesitation, the drop of a shoulder, the smallest opening that could spell death in battle. He steps forward, his voice low but firm. Again, he says, and the boys obey. Nearby, women tend small fires, their hands busy with tasks that sustain the city's quiet strength. One woman mends a cloak, her needle flashing in the dim light. Another grinds barley into coarse flour, her rhythm steady and sure. They speak little, their silence a testament to the city's creed. Every action serves the state. A child sleeps on a rough straw mattress, his small body wrapped in a simple blanket. He stirs as the night wind passes through the open window, but he does not wake. In Sparta, even the young learn early that comfort is a fleeting gift. His dreams are filled with echoes of wooden swords and the quiet strength of his mother's hands. Beyond the walls, the night stretches into the wilderness. The Taygetus mountains stand dark and watchful, their peaks like silent sentinels against the sky. Somewhere in the darkness, a lone wolf howls, its voice sharp and lonely. The sound carries through the city's narrow streets, a reminder that the world beyond Sparta is as harsh as the city within. Near the city's edge, a small shrine stands in a hollow between two olive trees. A clay lamp burns at its base, the flame steady in the calm night air. A simple offering rests beside it, a sprig of laurel, a handful of barley. The gods are always near in Sparta, their presence woven into the city's breath. A young man kneels at the shrine, his head bowed. His tunic is worn, his hands marked by the day's labours. He whispers a prayer, soft, reverent, a request for strength in the trials yet to come. In Sparta, faith is not a question but a certainty. The gods watch, and in return the people endure. Inside the city, the Agoge rests, its courtyards empty, its stones cool beneath the night sky. The echo of drills still clings to the walls, a memory of the day's lessons. Here, tomorrow waits, ready to test every child who dares to call themselves Spartan. A single star breaks through the darkness, its light faint but unyielding. It watches over the city as it has for generations, its glow a reminder that even in the hardest places, hope finds a way to shine. If you think you could walk these streets, could share these meals, could face these trials without faltering, know this: Sparta has no patience for pretense. Here, every moment is a test, and only those who embrace the city's iron heart will find their place within its walls. Every breath drawn in Sparta is a promise to endure, to fight, to protect. Every step is measured, every action judged, and as the night deepens, the city breathes in quiet unison, its heart still beating strong beneath the cold, unyielding stars. Morning returns with a silent command. In Sparta, dawn is not just the beginning of a new day, but the continuation of an unbroken legacy, a promise that strength will never sleep. The air is cool, crisp, and carries the scent of wood smoke and olive oil. In the training grounds, the first sounds of the day are the low, steady thud of wooden swords striking training dummies. The rhythm is relentless: strike, block, strike, block. Each blow is a test of precision, of endurance, of the discipline that binds the city together. A young boy stands at the edge of the yard, his tunic damp with sweat. His arms tremble from the weight of the wooden sword, his jaw set with stubborn determination. He has watched older boys train, seen their bruises fade into quiet pride. Now it is his turn. An instructor moves like a shadow behind him, eyes sharp and unyielding. A single mistake, a drop of the guard, a misstep, and the correction comes swift and hard. There is no cruelty in it, only the expectation that every child will rise to the challenge. In Sparta, pain is not punishment, it is preparation. Near the training yard, a group of older warriors assembles in formation, their shields locked, their spears upright. Their breath rises in white clouds, mingling with the dust of the ground. A commander's voice slices through the air. "Hold the line," he says, and they obey without hesitation. Each man knows that the shield wall is not just a tactic, it is Sparta's very survival. As they drill, the air hums with the sound of shields striking shields, the steady rhythm of unity forged through countless battles. There is no room for individual glory here. The strength of Sparta lies in the strength of its phalanx, each man a part of a greater whole. Beyond the drills, the city's narrow streets begin to fill with the quiet sounds of daily life. Women carry baskets of barley and dried figs, their steps measured, their faces calm. They move with the assurance of those who know their place in a city that expects as much from them as it does from its warriors. At a small stall, a potter works at his wheel, shaping clay with hands that bear the marks of his craft. The clay yields beneath his fingers, each piece a small triumph of skill and patience. In Sparta, even the simplest trade is a reflection of discipline, a reminder that every detail matters. Children gather at the edge of the Agora, their eyes wide as they watch a group of boys from the Agoge practice with spears. The tips of the weapons catch the morning light, glinting like sharp promises. The children's laughter is rare but bright, a brief flash of innocence in a city that demands so much from even its youngest. At the market's edge, a blacksmith works his forge, the glow of the coals painting his face in shifting light. Sparks fly as he hammers iron into shape. Nails, knives, small tools. His muscles are thick with years of labour, his hands steady. Each strike of his hammer is a heartbeat of the city's life, a reminder that strength is not only found on the battlefield, but also at the anvil. A woman stops at the stall, her eyes scanning the wares. She selects a small iron hook, its shape simple yet sturdy. She tests its weight in her palm before nodding to the blacksmith, a silent transaction of need and skill. In Sparta, even the most modest object carries the weight of purpose. Outside the city walls, the land stretches into the wild, a patchwork of scrub grass and jagged stones, broken only by the narrow trails worn by generations of feet. A group of boys runs the trails, their legs pumping, their breath ragged. This is their test, to survive in the wilderness with nothing but their wits and the skills drilled into them since childhood. One boy pauses at the crest of a small hill, his chest heaving. He glances back at the city, its walls a distant promise of safety. Then he turns, his eyes hardening, and continues down the trail. There is no room for hesitation here. In Sparta, the wild is as much a teacher as the trainers in the yard. As the sun climbs higher, the city's routines grind forward with the certainty of a well-oiled machine. Every action has its place, every person their role. There is no room for waste, no time for indulgence. If you think you could thrive in such a place, if you think you could stand shoulder to shoulder with these men and women and call yourself one of them, remember this: Sparta does not bend to the will of the untested. Here, every breath is earned, every step watched, every weakness a chance for the city to remind you of its demands. In the heart of Sparta, strength is not a choice. It is the air you breathe, the stone beneath your feet, the beat of your own heart. Relentless, unyielding, eternal. The midday sun casts sharp shadows across the city's whitewashed walls, turning every corner into a lesson in contrast, light and dark, strength and fragility. In the training grounds, the young warriors pause briefly, their faces flushed with effort, their bodies taut with the memory of the morning's drills. But rest is not a reward in Sparta. It is a momentary reprieve before the next test begins. A group of boys sits cross-legged in the dust, their swords laid beside them. Their voices are low, sharing the hard-earned knowledge of the Agoge. One boy, his hair cropped close to his scalp, gestures with a calloused hand as he speaks. His words carry the weight of experience, and the others listen intently. Even among children, the chain of command is unspoken but absolute. Nearby, an instructor sharpens his blade on a whetstone, each stroke deliberate, the sound a quiet rasp that seems to echo in the still air. His eyes never leave the boys, watching their posture, their focus. In Sparta, every moment is a test, every glance a measure of worth. A pair of older warriors, their cloaks marked with the insignia of veterans, stand near the edge of the yard. They speak in low tones, their faces lined with the scars of old battles. One runs a thumb along a faded cut on his forearm, a memory of a fight long past. The other nods, his gaze steady. These men are the backbone of Sparta, the living testament that survival is a constant battle, not a single victory. Beyond the training grounds, the agora hums with quiet activity. Merchants arrange their wares, pottery, dried figs, small bundles of herbs. A mother pauses to examine a bundle of thyme, her fingers roughened by years of toil. She tests its scent before handing over a few small coins, the transaction swift and wordless. A potter's wheel turns steadily in the shadows of a nearby stall, the clay taking shape beneath skilled fingers. The potter hums a low tune, his voice blending with the gentle sound of turning clay and the murmur of the market. In Sparta, even art is forged with discipline, a craft honed by repetition and patience. A small boy darts between the legs of passing warriors, his laugh a brief burst of light in a city of iron. His mother calls sharply, and he freezes mid-stride, his eyes wide. She gestures for him to return, her face a mixture of love and the hard edge of a city that cannot afford softness. He obeys, his steps slow but sure, already learning that in Sparta every action matters. Near the city's edge, a small herd of goats grazes among the scrub grass. Their movements are slow, their bleats soft and uncertain. A young girl watches over them, a wooden staff in her hand. Her eyes scan the horizon, wary for wolves or thieves. Even tending animals in Sparta is a lesson in vigilance, a reminder that the land beyond the walls is as unforgiving as the training grounds within. At a small shrine beneath an ancient olive tree, a man kneels in silent prayer. His head is bowed, his hands clasped around a small bronze amulet. The gods are never far in Sparta. Their presence is felt in every stone, every spear, every shield raised in defense of the city. Faith is not a separate ritual, but a thread woven into daily life, a quiet strength that underpins the city's iron will. In the distance, the Taygetus mountains rise like silent judges against the horizon. Their peaks catch the last rays of the sun, casting long shadows over the valley. Cold wind drifts down from the heights, carrying with it the promise of winter and the reminder that Sparta's challenges are not only human, but also of nature itself. As the sun begins its slow descent, the training grounds stir once more. Boys rise from the dust, their muscles stiff but ready. Wooden swords are gripped with renewed resolve. In Sparta, there is no final bell, no end of the day's lessons. Every hour is an opportunity to grow stronger, to shed the weaknesses that might one day bring ruin. If you think you could endure these days, could shoulder these burdens, remember this: Sparta offers no mercy. Here, every glance is a judgment, every movement a chance to prove your worth or to falter and be left behind. In the heart of this city, strength is not given. It is forged in sweat, in pain, in the quiet moments of doubt that separate those who endure from those who fail. And in the silence between the clash of swords and the echoes of voices, Sparta waits to see who will rise and who will not. As night falls over Sparta, the city's heartbeat slows, but its vigilance never fades. The training grounds lie quiet now, the dust settled, the echoes of drills a memory in the cool air. Torches flicker in doorways, casting long dancing shadows across the rough stone streets. In a small home near the centre of the city, a family gathers around a simple wooden table. The meal is humble, a thick barley porridge, a few dried figs, a crust of dark bread. A clay lamp burns low, its flame steady but small. The father breaks the bread and hands a piece to his wife, then to his children. No words are spoken, none are needed. In Sparta, every meal is a quiet act of survival, a testament to the city's unyielding creed. The mother's hands, roughened by labour, cradle her youngest child as he dozes on her shoulder. Her eyes, tired but sharp, flicker to the doorway, ever watchful. In Sparta, even love wears the armour of vigilance. Outside, a patrol moves through the streets, men in cloaks of crimson, their eyes scanning every corner, every alley. They move with the silence of those who know that danger can come from any direction, at any time. Their presence is a reminder that in Sparta, peace is never assumed. It is earned, night by night, step by step. At the edge of the city, near the walls that guard Sparta from the world beyond, a young boy sits alone. His knees are drawn to his chest, his tunic dusty from the day's training. His eyes stare into the darkness where the wilderness begins, a place of wolves and wilder things. His breath comes slow, each exhale a small cloud in the cool night air. He's alone, but not abandoned. This is his test, to face the night without fear, to prove that even in solitude a Spartan strength holds. In the darkness, the silence is a teacher, and every shadow a lesson. A woman walks the perimeter, her steps slow and even. She's older, her hair streaked with grey, her eyes hard as iron. Her cloak is lined with the insignia of the city's guardians, a reminder that in Sparta women too bear the burden of its defence. She pauses, her gaze settling on the boy, and for a moment the hardness in her eyes softens. But only for a moment. Strength, after all, is a legacy that must be taught. In a nearby courtyard, a small gathering of elders sits around a low fire. Their voices are low, their faces lined with the weight of years and battles fought. One speaks of a time when the city faced invasion, another of a plague that took more than any spear. Their words are quiet, but their tone carries the weight of Sparta's unbroken chain of endurance. A young man, his shoulders broad from training, listens in silence. His eyes flicker to the elders' faces, learning not just from their stories, but from the lines etched into their skin, each one a mark of survival. Above the city, the stars scatter across the sky like 1,000 cold embers. The moon casts its silver light on the rooftops, painting every stone and timber in shades of quiet dignity. The air is cool, scented with olive oil and the faint tang of iron from the training grounds. In the shadows of the Agoge, a single torch burns, its light steady, unwavering. It is a symbol of the city's relentless pursuit of strength, a reminder that even in the deepest night, Sparta's heart still beats. If you think you could walk these streets at night, if you think you could bear the silence and the weight of expectation that never sleeps, remember this. Sparta tests you not only in the sunlit drills of the day, but in the quiet watches of the night, when doubt creeps in and fear takes root. Here, even the darkness is a forge, and every hour is an anvil, and only those who endure, who refuse to yield to the silence, will rise to meet the dawn. As dawn stretches its pale fingers over Sparta, the city awakens to a rhythm set by centuries of tradition. The quiet hum of life begins, the clang of a blacksmith's hammer joining the calls of early morning merchants setting out their wares. Even the roosters seem to crow with the weight of discipline, their calls sharp and timely. In the Agoge's training grounds, the first rays of sunlight catch the dust rising beneath swift feet. Boys form lines, their tunics already damp with sweat. The instructor's voice cuts through the air, calm and unyielding. "Form ranks," he calls, and they obey. No hesitation, no questions. Every movement in Sparta is trained, deliberate, necessary. One boy falters, his foot slipping on the hard-packed ground. The instructor's eyes narrow, his gaze a silent reprimand. The boy straightens, his jaw set, the tremor in his hands fading beneath a mask of resolve. Here, mistakes are not punishable by shame alone. They are reminders that every error can cost a life, on the battlefield or in the city's daily struggles. Nearby, a small group of older boys spar with wooden swords. Their movements are fluid but fierce, each strike measured, each defense precise. The clash of wood echoes in the cool air, a sound that carries the weight of generations. In Sparta, play and war are separated by a line so thin it is almost invisible. A father watches from a distance, his arms folded across his chest. His eyes flicker between the boys, his son among them, and the instructor. Pride and expectation blend in his gaze. He knows the cost of failure, knows that the city spares no one. Every father in Sparta is a silent sentinel, his hopes bound to his child's strength, his fears hidden beneath a stoic mask. Beyond the training grounds, the market bustles. Women haggle over baskets of olives, their voices sharp but measured. A fisherman's wife offers a net full of silver-scaled catch to a merchant, her hands stained with the sea's brine. A young girl balances a jug of water on her head, her steps steady and sure. Even in the smallest tasks, discipline is evident, a thread that weaves the city together. A blacksmith works his forge, the glow of the coals painting his face in shifting light. Sparks dance with each strike of his hammer, brief flares of brightness in the early morning. His arms are thick with muscle, his hands marked by calluses and small burns. Each blow of his hammer is a reminder that in Sparta, every craft is a weapon in its own right, every tool forged to serve the city's needs. At the edge of the agora, an old woman arranges small clay figurines on a worn cloth. Her eyes, clouded with age, still hold the spark of memory. She hums a tune from her youth, a song of harvests and victories long past. A boy stops to watch, his gaze caught by the figures, their simple forms carrying the weight of tradition and belief. In a quiet corner, a young man kneels beside a small altar. His head is bowed, his hands resting on his knees. A thin wisp of smoke curls from a small offering of herbs and oil, its scent mingling with the air. The gods are never far in Sparta. Even the smallest gesture of faith carries the strength of the city's resolve. As the sun climbs higher, its light sharpens the city's edges, stone walls gleaming, wooden doors creaking beneath the heat. Shadows shorten, and every step feels the weight of expectation. The Agoge drills continue, the boys' movements growing sharper, their faces set in masks of concentration. If you think you could rise with the sun, train until your body ached, eat meals earned only through sweat and struggle, then maybe, just maybe, you might begin to understand what it means to call yourself Spartan. But remember this, Sparta does not break for the weak, it does not pause for the weary. In this city, every moment is a forge, every task a test, and only those who endure its fires will find their place among its warriors. Midday in Sparta is marked by a pause, a brief respite from the drills and the lessons, though even then the city's pulse never truly slows. Warriors lean their spears against rough stone walls, their faces shaded beneath broad-brimmed hats. The smell of sweat and sun-baked earth mingles with the faint tang of iron from the training grounds. In the shade of an olive tree, a group of young boys sits cross-legged, sharing a loaf of dark bread and a few dried olives. Their voices are low, hushed, as they exchange tales of the day's training. Who faltered, who stood strong, who earned the instructor's nod of approval. Even in these moments of rest, their eyes are sharp, their minds measuring, testing, preparing. A woman passes by with a clay jug balanced on her shoulder, her steps even and sure despite the uneven ground. She pauses briefly to watch the boys, her gaze steady. There is no softness in her eyes, only the weight of expectation, the unspoken reminder that even in rest, Sparta's strength must not fade. Near the edge of the agora, an old man sharpens a knife on a worn stone. His movements are slow but practiced, each stroke deliberate. A small crowd gathers to watch, drawn by the simple, steady rhythm of his work. The blade glints in the sun, its edge honed to a keen point. In Sparta, every tool is a weapon, every hand a potential shield. A young warrior approaches, his cloak marked with the insignia of his training group. He watches the old man's hands, his eyes tracing each movement. The old man looks up, his gaze sharp, and nods once. No words pass between them, but the exchange is clear. Strength is not just in the sword, it is in the hands that shape it, the eyes that learn from it. In a corner of the market, a small group of women weaves baskets from reeds gathered along the river. Their fingers move quickly, deftly, creating tight, sturdy containers that will carry barley, olives, and fish. One of them hums a low tune, a song of harvest and hope. The others join in, their voices blending in quiet harmony. Even in Sparta, where discipline reigns, the human spirit finds ways to sing. Nearby, a boy helps his mother gather herbs, his small hands careful not to bruise the delicate leaves. He watches her closely, his eyes mirroring her movements. In this city, every task is a lesson, every gesture a step on the path to becoming stronger. As the sun begins its slow descent, shadows lengthen and the air grows cooler. A group of older boys gathers near the training grounds, their wooden swords resting against their shoulders. Their faces are marked with the dust of the day, their eyes bright with the memory of drills and tests. They speak in low tones of tomorrow's challenges, of the tasks that await them. A lone torch is lit near the Agoge, its flames steady against the evening breeze. The light catches on the faces of the boys, illuminating their expressions, determined, weary, resolute. They know that in Sparta there is no rest without purpose, no sleep without the promise of strength gained and weakness cast aside. If you think you could endure these days, could bear the sun's heat, the sharp discipline, the constant expectation, remember this: Sparta's demands are not confined to the training yard. Every corner of the city, every hand at work, every voice at rest carries the weight of survival. Here, even in the smallest moments, strength is forged, one heartbeat, one breath, one step at a time. As dusk settles over the city, Sparta's spirit shifts. The heat of the day fades into a cool breeze that stirs the olive branches and brings the scent of earth and iron. The training grounds grow quiet, the dust from countless feet finally beginning to settle. In the Agoge, the last drills of the day are underway. Boys stand in lines, their wooden swords clutched tight, their eyes fixed on the instructor. The crack of wood on wood echoes in the evening air, a rhythm of discipline, of lessons learned and weaknesses challenged. One boy stumbles, his sword slipping from sweaty fingers. He freezes, his heart in his throat as the instructor's gaze falls on him. A moment of silence stretches, a lesson sharper than any blade. Then the instructor nods, and the boy retrieves his weapon, his grip firmer than before. In Sparta, mistakes are not just corrected, they are etched into memory. Beyond the training yard, families prepare for the evening meal. Women stir pots of lentils and barley, the scent of herbs rising from clay bowls. A father tends a small fire, adding branches with the care of a man who knows that every ember counts. Even in these moments of quiet, Sparta's discipline is evident in every gesture. A young girl carries a basket of olives to her mother, her steps measured and precise. She sets the basket down, her eyes watching her mother's hands as they sort the fruit. Every child in Sparta learns from every movement, every detail, because here, even the smallest tasks carry the weight of survival. At a small altar near the edge of the market, a woman lights a single candle. The flame flickers in the dusk, its light steady against the gathering darkness. She bows her head, her lips moving in a silent prayer. In Sparta, the gods are not distant deities, but companions in every challenge, every triumph, every struggle. Nearby, a group of elders gathers, their cloaks marked with the insignia of their service. Their voices blend in low conversation, their faces lined with the years. They speak of battles fought and comrades lost, of winters survived and harvest gathered. Each story is a reminder that Sparta's strength is built not only on the drills of youth, but on the memories of those who came before. A boy approaches the group, his eyes wide with curiosity. One of the elders beckons him forward, placing a hand on his shoulder. The boy listens, his face serious, as the elder speaks of a time when the city stood alone against its enemies. The words are soft but carry the weight of generations, a lesson passed from one heart to another. As night deepens, torches are lit along the city's walls, their flames dancing like sentinels in the dark. A patrol moves through the streets, their shadows long and shifting. Their steps are steady, their eyes scanning every doorway, every corner. In Sparta, the night is as dangerous as the day, and vigilance never sleeps. If you think you could stand in these streets, feel the weight of the darkness pressing in, and still hold your head high, remember this: Sparta's night is a test all its own. Here, even the shadows watch you, measuring your resolve. In the quiet between the flames, Sparta's strength waits, unseen, unyielding, eternal. As the moon rises over the rugged hills that cradle Sparta, the city's breath deepens. a slow exhale of iron-willed endurance. The night air is cool, laced with the scent of olive wood smoke and the tang of sweat from the day's labours. Even in darkness, the city stands alert, its watchful eyes never fully closing. In the Agoge, the boys lie on their rough blankets, their bodies sore from drills and tests. Their eyes stare at the wooden beams overhead, each line in the timber another reminder that tomorrow holds new challenges. Sleep comes slowly, a fragile visitor in a place where weakness finds no refuge. One boy shifts restlessly, the day's lessons chasing him into his dreams. His hands clench at invisible weapons, his breath quickens. The instructor's voice, calm and steady, echoes in his mind. Strength is forged in the dark as well as the light. Even in sleep, Sparta teaches. A torch burns low near the doorway, its flame a quiet sentinel against the night. Shadows dance across the walls, painting the room in moving shapes. Outside, the wind carries the distant sound of a wolf's howl, a reminder that the wild beyond Sparta's walls is never far. In the market, a lone vendor guards her stall, her eyes sharp in the torchlight. She watches every passerby, her hand resting on a worn wooden staff. Even here, in the place of trade and barter, caution is a shield. She knows that in Sparta, trust is not given lightly. Near the city's edge, a small shrine stands beneath a twisted olive tree. A man kneels, his hands clasped around a small bronze pendant. His prayers are silent, but his face is marked by the lines of loss and perseverance. Every Spartan knows the weight of sacrifice, the cost of survival. A patrol of warriors moves along the outer walls, their crimson cloaks catching the moon's glow. Their eyes scan the darkness beyond the city where threats unseen may wait. One pauses, his hand resting on the hilt of his sword. In the hush of night, every sound is a question, every shadow a challenge. A young girl peeks from her doorway, her eyes wide with curiosity and fear. Her mother pulls her back gently, her voice a whisper of caution. In Sparta, children learn early that silence can be as powerful as any sword. In a quiet corner, an elder tends a small fire, the embers glowing like hidden stars. He adds a piece of dry wood, his hands steady. As the flames rise, he gazes into the fire's heart, seeing memories there, battles fought, friends lost, victories earned at a price. His eyes hold the wisdom of one who has endured, who has stood against the tests of time and come through tempered. If you think you could rest easy in this city, if you think the night would bring you comfort, remember this: Sparta does not yield to darkness. Here, every hour tests your will, your strength, your heart. In the space between dreams and waking, between silence and sound, Sparta's lessons are written, and only those who can read them, who can live them, will ever understand what it means to stand strong in the city of iron. As dawn nears, a pale light touches the city's rooftops, finding every crack and crevice in the ancient stone. The air is heavy with anticipation, as if Sparta itself breathes in before the day's demands are loosed once more. Even in these quiet moments, the city's pulse remains steady, unwavering. In the Agoge, the boys rise from their blankets, their bodies stiff from a night of restless dreams. The instructor's voice calls them to order, his tone calm but sharp. They form lines without hesitation, their eyes forward, their feet steady. Every morning is a reminder that in Sparta, the weak are forged into strength, or cast aside. The drills begin. Wooden swords clash in practiced rhythm, the sound sharp and unrelenting. Each movement is precise, each strike measured. A boy stumbles, his breath ragged. The instructor's eyes meet his, and for a moment, the world narrows to that single gaze. The boy straightens, his grip tightening. In Sparta, every mistake is a lesson, every lesson a chance to rise. Beyond the training yard, women carry baskets of fresh bread and olives to the market. Their steps are sure, their eyes alert. Even here, where trade and barter hold sway, the discipline of Sparta's spirit endures. A merchant calls out, offering salted fish and thick loaves. A woman shakes her head, her eyes narrowing. In this city, every exchange is a test of will as much as trade. A blacksmith hammers a sword into shape, the metal glowing beneath his practice strikes. Sparks dance like fleeting stars in the dim light. His face is lined with sweat and focus. Every blow carries the weight of generations, every fold in the steel a promise of survival. At the edge of the Agora, a group of young men carries bundles of reeds and rough wood. They work together, their movements efficient. One pauses to catch his breath, his hand wiping sweat from his brow. His friend claps him on the shoulder, a silent encouragement. In Sparta, the bonds between warriors are forged in sweat and fire. In a quiet alley, an old woman tends to a small garden. Her hands are worn, her fingers stained with earth. She pulls weeds with a steady patience, her eyes on the young plants. Each green shoot is a testament to resilience, a promise of growth even in the hardest soil. A child watches her from a doorway, his eyes wide with wonder. She glances up, her gaze softening for a brief moment. Even in a city built on iron, there is room for small mercies. As the sun climbs higher, its light sharpens every edge, every stone, every face. The drills continue, the rhythm of training blending with the heartbeat of the city. In Sparta, the day is not measured by hours, but by the strength gained and the weaknesses left behind. If you think you could rise with this sun, bear its heat, and move through the day with unyielding focus, remember this: Sparta is not a city of comfort. It is a crucible, a place where every day tests your will. In this city, strength is not given. It is earned, one strike, one breath, one unbroken step at a time. As the sun begins its descent, the shadows of Sparta grow longer, painting the city in shades of memory and endurance. The day's drills have ended, but the lessons learned will echo into the night. In the Agoge, the boys gather their weapons, their faces marked with sweat and dust. Each step they take is heavier than the one before, their bodies bearing the weight of the city's expectations. But in their eyes, a glint remains, hard-won, unyielding, forged by a day's worth of trials. A mother waits at the edge of the training yard, her hands folded, her face composed. Her son approaches, his steps measured, his head held high. She places a hand on his shoulder, neither praise nor rebuke in her touch, only the silent understanding that in Sparta each day survived is a victory. Nearby, an elder watches the city's heartbeat slow as evening falls. His gaze takes in the torches being lit along the walls, the markets closing, the last calls of merchants fading into the hush of twilight. He knows, as every Spartan knows, that tomorrow will bring the same tests, the same cold demands for strength, resilience, and unwavering will. A young warrior sharpens his blade in the fading light, the rasp of metal on stone carrying a steady rhythm. Each pass of the blade is a vow, a promise to his city, to his family, to himself. In Sparta, weapons are more than tools. They are extensions of the soul, the last defense between order and chaos. A woman stands at a small altar, the flame of a single candle flickering in the dusk. Her lips move in a prayer that blends gratitude with resolve. In this city, faith and endurance are woven together, each a shield against the night's cold embrace. As darkness settles, the city exhales, its breath heavy with the weight of the day's labours. The streets grow quiet, the torches casting pools of light that fight the creeping night. The wind carries the scent of olive oil and iron, a reminder that even in sleep Sparta's strength remains. If you think you could walk these streets, face these trials, and rise with the dawn ready to face them all again, remember this: Sparta does not welcome the unprepared. Here, every day is a test, every night a promise of more to come. In the quiet between the torches, in the hush that falls over the Agoge, Sparta's true challenge is revealed. Not just in the drills or the weapons, but in the heart that refuses to yield. And that is why you wouldn't last a day in ancient Sparta. Because here, strength is not a gift, but a burden carried with every breath, every step, every silent vow whispered into the dark.